Hello.
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 Aloha.
Aloha. Hello.
Hello.
Aloha.
You know what we forgot the last time that we opened?
A win.
We forgot a win.
I know we dove right in because we were so excited to see each other.
Well, we're so excited.
What's your win?
and then what had happened was we had a guest we were excited about.
Yeah. So it was just a lot of excitement. Maybe that was the win.
That was it. We're going to call that the win.
That was
we
the
were
win.
so excited.
Yeah. I love that.
That was so excited. So do you have a win?
I want to hear your win.
Let me think. I have a few things that come to mind, but they're things that I always talk about with business or with my family. That's pretty much what we have is business and family, right? I can tell you a win that happened with one of my puppies.
Oh.
So Sadie girl, you know, we have 3 wiener dogs, and Sadie girl's the baby, and she hurt her back. And I had leftover medication from when one of the boy wieners hurt his back. And so it was expired 2 years ago, but I was like, Tom, I really think we should just try this. And we put her on it, like a muscle relaxer / painkiller for a few days, and now she's back to normal.
Oh.
So that's a good thing because she was walking around very gingerly.
Yeah. Expired boy wiener dogs.
Yeah. If you're a vet, could you not call me and tell me that I'm a bad dog?
That reminds me, Matt, every time I try and feed him, he looks at all the beef or meat products.
Expiration date?
Expiration.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I was going to make that tonight. And he's like, I don't really feel like getting food poisoning tonight. I'm like, have I ever? He's like, yes, you have given me food poisoning. I'm like, that was salami.
So do you eat expired meat?
Do
you go by smell?
It's as if I was born during the Depression. I really am like, no, we can make something out of this. If I go by smell, but then I'm like, but really, it's not that bad. I mean, if I'm like gagging, I'll feed you fresh whenever you come over. But I hate if it's like a day or two past and it smells like not.
So if that was Tom Richardson's house, so he goes through the refrigerator daily and he looks at even the condiments. And so this is a problem because I'm like, oh no, I know that I have spicy mustard in my refrigerator. Like I know it's there. Oh no, because it was going to expire in 2 weeks and he just decided that oh no. And if milk is going to expire a week from now, it's already bad. The eggs are already bad. So he was the opposite of the Depression era. He was the 1920s, the time of excess. Yeah. Oh
my God, that would be a great question
to ask people.
Yeah. Who are you? Like what group, like era do you resonate with? And mine definitely is like
Depression.
Totally during the World War II.
I think I've been with him so long since I was 15 that I haven't gotten to pick. I'll just go with the excess because I don't have a choice. I mean, if there was meat that was expired 2 days ago, first of all, it wouldn't be in our refrigerator, but he sure as hell wouldn't touch it.
No. Well, Matt won't. He'll just go and get to something else, and I just laugh.
But
I eat it. And,
and you're fine.
And I'm fine. But, you know.
I don't
know if I'm fine, but
So what's a win?
Okay, so a win. I just got to go to Japan with my husband Matt, and because of the Astros and Daikin becoming partners, and Daikin taking over the naming rights of the stadium here in Houston for the Houston Astros, they hosted us on the most spectacular trip ever. It was really, really, really special, and what we got to do was just unique and different, and just the hospitality. We talk about that on here a lot, right? How people treat us and what that feels like to be treated so well, and how you really then wanted to bring it back. And it was interesting because Matt and Anita, both of them had the same concept of like this now will change how we treat our guests and sponsors because it was just so remarkable. Plus, I learned a ton about
Casey,
not just AC, but other stuff that, we don't know because it's that thing in the back and you're like, please don't make me deal with it. And what we can be doing with it is huge, right? We should be implementing it into our designs and not looking at it like it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah. Usually what I say about air conditioning and AC ducts is I'm like, can we just build this house without AC? It'll be so much prettier without any ductwork that I have to accommodate for.
Honestly, that's it. But they've made it to where when you go through their spaces, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So we need to just be implementing it.
It doesn't have to be ceiling acne, which is what Ben calls it. Ben Johnson he just did a panel discussion for Texas Design Week, and I almost fell out of my chair because they were talking about the ugly things, right?
God.
And he said, I call it ceiling acne, and I just died laughing.
That is it. totally it.
Yeah, there's no medication for it. Yeah,
and we talk about the fifth wall all the time,
Yeah,
right? So it's just like, and then you look up, and there you've got 59 cans, which why do you need that much light?
Right.
Nobody's doing surgery.
Right.
And then a couple air vents that might have some janky stuff on it, and then maybe
the alarm system and the speakers
it's insane. So that's the perfect way to say it. Yeah.
Ceiling acne. So I'm excited to look into Daikin more and find out what it is that they are. Is it Daikin or Daikin? Daikin, and what they are doing sort of that's going to impact our industry. I'm looking really forward to learning about that. I know you said we're going to go on a field trip somewhere.
Yes, because they have a humongous 400,000 square feet facility out in Waller, I think it is. And anyways, and then some other stuff. So we're kind of talking to them because they do have, in-house designers trying to figure out how this all works for, and they've got other stuff. So it was really, really interesting just on that end of it, plus just going to Japan.
And just being awesome.
Badass. And the food. Yeah.
So, well, that was a big win. Do you have another win that you want to talk about? Because I brought up the trip again. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm so excited
there's
for
just
you.
so many wins. I mean, things are going good.
Yeah.
I think it's a good.
And a win is that your business kept running while you were gone.
A win is that Carrie held down the damn fort while things literally were just like.
I mean, snaps for Carrie, right?
Snaps for Carrie.
Yeah.
Talking about a ceiling, we had a ceiling detail done by David Fuller, actually, his beautiful fretwork stuff that she spent tireless hours getting the CAD done, because there are 9 tiny cans and 2 vents. So, I mean, we're totally preaching to the choir. And so how to get this interesting detail without any of that. So then she got to sit for 3 hours while it got installed. But they did it, and it's so beautiful.
And the client's so thrilled.
They're so thrilled. It's
I'm
so fun.
excited about that.
But you have some fun stuff coming up. I feel like you've got Turks and Caicos. So that's.
Yep. Turks and Caicos is in the shop. We're going with some of our very best friends, Christy and Claudia. And so that's the biggest trip we have coming in the future. So, yeah. And it's their happy place. So.
Oh, so that's fun. If they
many times
go with somebody who's already done their thing.
Yeah,
okay. I love that. Yeah. Okay.
So, you want to introduce today's episode?
Yes. Today's episode is sponsored by, actually, yeah.
It actually
is Vacation Rentals Design. But we're talking today about AI and how for the last couple of years we're hearing it as this sort of buzzword, and what does it actually mean, and how does it affect us? And, a lot of people were telling designers or architects that AI was really going to possibly take our jobs or, alienate a lot of what we do. And so, we just want to talk about some of the points in which we feel like it can be helpful and be utilized in ways, but it can't hopefully take the place of that, at least for the luxury high-end client that really needs a little bit more than what AI can do. So, yeah.
I think that's a good point. And I think, Casey, when we were talking about this and prepping for this pod, you said we can either embrace it or not, but it's coming. And I think that that's something really important to talk about in every industry. So whatever industry you're in, but for the baby designers that are in school, just getting out of school, and you're like, oh my gosh, am I going into something that's going to be taken over by AI? Or those designers that are in mid-career and afraid. I think what we want to talk today about is the luxury market, like you said, and why not to be afraid. And we're all in this together.
That is what people are talking about, like what jobs are going to be obsolete and all of those things. Mm-hmm. And I think for some things, it's a useful tool, and some stuff might go away. Like, I was talking to Jake about this. College counselors who help prep kids to write their essays. That might be something that might need, they might need to look for another job, right? That is an easy one.
But they're going to have to pivot. Yeah.
They're going to have to pivot into something else. But to the point of like Carrie sitting for 3 hours while they nailed up this thing and putting that into CAD, like AI is not going to get the nuance of what's happening. So there are so many moments that we do on site and with our clients throughout the whole project that like there's no way it could be captured.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah. And I think also making the point of you did an experiment in your phone where you took a picture and you said, AI designed this room in some format, and it did, and it looked fine. We're not talking about that level of client. We're talking about the luxury client. I do think there are some phases where we all have to acknowledge that AI is going to become important in the interior design space. But I think you and I today, for the purposes of today, want to focus on the luxury experience, the bespoke.
The bespoke.
So what are some things that you think AI is, like you use the example of the ceiling and your assistant helping you in that way in CAD and that not being able to be done with AI in that way. What's something else that you are like, there is no way?
I do think it is the site visits and the moments that we're with our clients. Well, I think it is the touch points with clients. So AI is not going to read, like we talked to another podcast, the Design Dash with Laura Yu, and you mentioned, watching somebody's body language and what you picked up with that kind of that first meeting that you kind of had to push the pause on, because it's like, okay, wait, we're seeing something that she's not
a nuance.
AI is not going to pick that up, and so that doesn't allow for the conversation for the client to even have the experience that they deserve, right? Because we're all about that experience for them. So I think that's the area to start with. Like, you can put in your ramifications, you can do all that stuff on there, and they're going to build you a house. I mean, in minutes, and you can put it can put budget. They can do all those things, but what somebody's not going to do is actually get to the nuance of Rainey and Tom building this house, and what does Tom want in this space, and what does Rainey want, and how do those two things come together in a nice way, and have them both feel like they won.
Exactly. I think that's important to note. And again, back to the humanity of it all. I feel like we talk about that all of the time. Reframing the experience so that it is not just another thing that we do or another thing we accomplish, but it's actually this whole experience, like Disney World or Daikin Resort, or you're actually immersed in the experience of creating something that's truly yours. I think also presenting the realm of possibilities. I mean, you and I go to trade shows, we go to market, we go to all sorts of vendor events. We have sort of touchstones all along the way where we are keeping our ear to the ground about new products, new possibilities. And so when something comes up with a client or they have a request, we're presenting them with the best of everything that's out there, not just what is part of an algorithm in a computer.
Right.
Do you think that that's something that's...
Absolutely, because, I'd heard it at one point, like even with Pinterest and some of these others, but people are showing pictures that they're 3 and 4 years old, some of these, right? And they're feeling like it's this newest thing. And I think that's also... translates into the same thing. It's AI. And so do you want to create something or do you want to copy something? And I think there's a big, huge difference. So if you're just going to copy, then go that route. But we're here to
shouldn't be hiring a designer
anyway.
Yeah.
But we're here to create something very special and bespoke. I mean, it is tailored to them.
Curated. Yeah. Have you ever had a client come to you and just show you a picture and say, I want my room to look like this? And how did you handle that?
Well, it depends on which time and what it is, but a lot of times it's just what part of this, and sometimes what I'm seeing and they're seeing are so different, right? So I think that's the question. So it might be they're just looking, they like the lights or something, and I'm like, oh wait, I was looking at the whole entire back kitchen or whatever the thing. So I think it opens a conversation. I do like getting photos because it helps us understand what they want to see.
Yeah.
So they're helpful, but not, if it's white subway tile or something, I'm always like, we're going to, but if it's anything else, I'll discuss.
Are you open to something more creative? Yeah. And if it is something that they just want recreated, then they don't, I will often say we're like bringing an Uzi to a paint gun fight. Like you need somebody with a paint gun, not an Uzi. And so don't pay us for that, because you just need somebody who can actually just put into live concept what your picture is showing, and we actually design, and that's not a good or bad, it's just what you want.
Yes. Yeah. And I think for those ones, I think you're right. You can put that into this, and it'll tell you where to go get the tile. Like, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it yourself, and a lot of people do, that's fantastic.
Like DIY on steroids.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the perfect time for DIY on steroids.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
So
I think another thing that AI will not be able to touch is sort of being the go-between or the liaise between the builder and the vendors and the client, right? I think luxury clients, one of the reasons they're paying you is to take care of some of the things that they don't have to be bothered with. so that they can do whatever their jobs are or whatever they're busy with.
Right.
And that sometimes can bleed over with some clients into us making minor decisions on their behalf that they don't want to weigh in on. And sometimes the client's like, I want the opportunity to weigh in on everything. And we totally respect that. It's whatever the temperament of that client
For
is.
sure, because everybody does do that differently.
Yes, but being able to go and speak using our language and articulate what it is that we want in the end, I think that makes the entire build process, remodel process, whatever it is, so much simpler.
So much simpler. And that takes years of experience, really, because you have to know at what place to actually jump in also. And somebody said recently, and I don't remember, who knows, podcast or what, but you get the text and we want to respond immediately, like to help, right? Where we come and save the day, like with the contract or whatever the thing. And then somebody's like, no, give him, like, they'll figure it out. But I'm always, we talk about whether we're control freaks or not, but I don't want them to figure it out in the wrong way. So it's tricky, right? But
very tricky.
We're here to take the text. We'll answer that call. I can't tell you how many vacations like we don't get to take or we're on them, but we're still working because there are still questions that come up.
Yeah, you were in Japan last week looking for a wallpaper installer from afar because something came up while you were gone.
Yeah. And we had like this tiny window. And those are the moments, like we had this tiny window in this house with scaffoldings up. The builder or the carpenter is done with his paneling to his level. Painter hasn't gotten in yet. Oh my God, this is the moment. Let's get the wallpaper guy in for the 20-foot ceiling tray.
Right.
And thank God we got through. But I was panicked.
Glad.
Oh my God, I was
so glad.
Because honestly, those are the moments though where you're like, we have to be this hands-on.
You have to.
Because nobody else.
And wallpaper installers, if you don't know, wallpaper is so hot right now that if you need to install wallpaper, you need to be booking your installer 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks in advance. And they're not playing with you when it comes time to install. Like,
if you don't get your shit ready, they're walking out.
You're another 6 to 8 weeks away because they have people clawing at their door. And I don't see an end to that. Do you?
No, not with what's happening with
I don't think so
treatments.
either.
No. And that was exactly what happened on this. He came the last time and the scaffolding wasn't high enough. He couldn't do it. He left. I was like, I don't care what we have to do here. Get that thing up as high as
if you have to hold him up, I don't care. If we're going to do like a cheer pyramid, this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. And we're going to be here all day.
That's it.
I'll throw every dollar I have at it. But this guy's coming back and get it. Yeah. It's just funny because the trades hold the cards and we are with them in the process for sure. But they are all meticulous and artisan in their own way. And they are, I've got a carpenter. I can't set a big enough fire under his tuchus to get
it going.
But he's he's like, fire me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't.
Because don't say those words. I kind of want to, but we have to finish this job. Yeah.
So yeah, but
they hold the key.
They do, and they should. I mean, they're implementing our ideas, but our ideas are just shit if somebody's not building it.
That's exactly
we need
correct.
them. But
I don't think AI is going to be liaising between all of those people and making all those phone calls, and that I don't see that happening. And maybe that's ignorance, but I don't see that becoming a forte of AI anytime soon.
No, they're not going to be able to anticipate timelines and when things are needing to switch. Like it's literally a rotisserie. You're just like, okay, and now this group and you know more than anybody. So
and being so respectful of all of them too, and understanding they need work that day because they have families to feed too, and building that respect among your trade group is so important.
It's so important because they're working their tails off. Yeah. So we want to take care of them. They take care of us, make us look good, but they can also make us look really bad. So that's another part, that having that relationship, knowing who you're bringing into people's houses, right?
Exactly.
Which is another whole other part of the AI part, like that. We talked to David Cox in a previous podcast, and you have a great relationship with him. And so when you meet the right client and he's a good fit, that's another like nuanced moment where you're like, AI's not going to get this. They're not going to know this couple's going to
that would not be a good fit for them, that they need somebody
a little bit more like this. Or
somebody that is in a big fancy building with all the big fancy staff because that's what they expect.
Mhm.
And so it's really true. Have you ever had the experience where you sat down with like two partners and realized that there's just a whole lot going on between them?
That like maybe they just had the hugest fight at McDonald's and then they had to come to your office or something.
Yes. Or one really wants this house and the other one really doesn't. Or one wants a 2,000 square foot bungalow and one wants the 5,000 square foot showroom. And they come to you all smiles and you suss out very quickly that there's some work to do.
Yes. Those
Yeah.
are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your experience there?
Well, one of them ended up being, and we've talked previously, but one that I did give the money back because the husband didn't feel like he didn't see the value for
And having a designer.
for a new build.
Mm.
Oh
my God.
I mean,
how long did it take you to suss that out?
Well, the first meeting was tricky, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, should have really." Well, they first started with asking for a discount, which is never my favorite, but you know, it's always like, "Okay, what are we going to take out of the project
scope,
then?"
yeah.
Because I don't discount, but I will take something out. So we did that because they didn't think he needed. Anyways, it ultimately just became, they went through 3 designers on that project and didn't end up with, any.
Do you, and I think that's something that AI and helping with that therapy piece that we do all of the time. I was talking with Laura Yu on her podcast that we did this morning as guests, and she said I was talking about recently really sussing out that I have a client that doesn't love change, and that client has to be respected and handled in a little different way to make sure that she gets what she wants. And then her partner, her husband, is like, let's tear it all down and redo the whole thing. And so AI is not going to be able to, in their renderings or in their decision making, be able to make those two things meet.
No.
I don't think, and I think people don't understand how much therapy we do.
It is so much therapy, and the fact that you
Not
said
in a
that
bad
about,
way. We love
we love
our
it. Oh my God, we
clients.
love it. But we love people, and we like we like to fix things, and that is innately kind of part of this process.
100%.
And I love because I bet her partner couldn't even have verbalized it to you that was something for her.
Yeah.
But you saying it and making him have his aha, where he's probably been saying something not maybe as nice or whatever all these years, but you picked it up. And so I think having that third person who's not in the couple, because I think that's tricky too when you are in the couple and maybe you've got 30 years of baggage that's coming to this table where you're now building this dream house. Whose dream is it anymore, for one, and who's getting what spaces and so it's always fun. We've talked about like when you see them rallying and championing for their spouse or their partner to get the space they want.
It's so fun.
Instead of like fighting them on it. It's like, why?
There shouldn't be a fight.
There shouldn't be a fight.
If it's a fight, you have to push the pause button. Because I think if it's a fight, even if it's between them and has nothing to do with you, the entire project will lose.
Yeah.
It is something universal about that. And so if you deduce that, instead of pushing forward and trying to force the project and just get through it, mash the pause button and just say, and that's what I had to do on this. For this, it's a remodel. And when I first met with them, they wanted to blow out the whole kitchen, the whole primary bath, the whole this, that. And so that's what we designed. And in the design presentation where we did move walls and we did move things, I just saw the look on her face like, whoa. And so she circled back and said, well, actually, it's not the layout. It's these things that really bother me. And so we mashed the pause button. We talked about sort of not loving change, and we met in the middle, and we're moving forward with that project. And I think, and that's tricky because we're still designers, right? We still want to design, but we don't want to blow anybody out of the water.
I love what you did on that one, though, because I think some people could have, we bring up ego often, but an ego about like taking that personally, like she didn't like your design and what you guys had created, and kind of being, maybe
Taking
puffing up
offense.
or something to that, instead of actually looking at okay,
her body language.
her body language and reading it as it truly was, which had nothing to do with your design.
Nope.
Beautiful. But it wasn't comfortable to her at that moment, and she didn't understand it. And so I think that is a huge lesson in like, let's take ourselves out of the equation as much as possible. Like, people aren't thinking about us or our stuff nearly like we think. So let's just remember that.
That's right.
And we're here to serve them. So what is that thing that's missing?
Right.
And so if the fact that you caught that, it took me 25 years to realize it with my own husband not too long ago about some stuff we had going on, you know, if we leave, if we don't leave, what we do next chapters. And
to be clear, you're talking about moving.
Yes. And it was really, I finally got to the point, I was like, I saw it in my own child when Josh was young, and I could picked out of him real quickly. Like, this kid you can't just he's not spontaneous. You can't just throw something at him. He likes a structure. And I just never saw Matt in that same way. And when it dawned on me that like, oh God, I can't keep throwing these big things and big changes. And I'm just a crazy, like a tornado. So I'm like, why don't we join the circus and grab a U-Haul, you know, whatever, who knows, kind of ideas. He's like, what? Oh my God, what
reset.
the hell? It's reset, stop, pause button, talk about mash button. He wishes
if he was a computer, it'd be a blue screen.
But reset all the time he wants to with me. So I finally was like, I'm coming at you really too fast on this stuff, and I'm sorry. But you noticed it with a client within a meeting. I've been with him for 20. It's so when you're that close to somebody, you sometimes don't see. So it took
true.
you seeing that for her. Then her husband can appreciate that.
It is
and probably
so true.
have a gentleness, because now I'm so much more delicate on how I move with Matt on stuff, because I'm like, I'm so sorry. I saw it in our
right
kid.
where he's at.
Yeah, and so I think, anyways.
But AI is not
AI going to do that either.
The AI didn't do that in your home either.
Yeah, I swear it's doing.
Yeah.
AI is following us around though, so we got to embrace it. So like, what are the ways to, like, I've used it for writing stuff for posts for Instagram, right? You get that dull space. Thank God I now have Mariana doing it, so I don't have to worry, but I throw it into there, throw it into a contract into it, and see about wordage. Responding on emails. Sometimes there's
a delicate topic and you're like, for me, you put it in there and you go, make this softer.
It's soften me, please.
Yeah, it's never be more direct. I don't ever hit the be more direct side. It's always, can you say this in a little softer way? Because I want to do that, you know? And it's funny because it's impacted just my daily email writing and texting. I'm like, I backspace. I want to say this a little different. And so it has impacted me in that way.
Okay, because now you're aware of what you could be, how you could be changing
of the possibilities.
I think, so that's why embracing it in our industry is going to be huge.
I love that.
And finding new, you know, I'm sure there's stuff that we don't know about, or composted ceiling fans. Who knows?
We don't even know.
I might have just invented that. And if I did, get back to me with the trade right on that one. But
or we're going to be 3D printing light fixtures or whatever.
Of stuff.
Yeah, I'm open to it.
Totally open. If it's going to make our job easier and make the process smoother for clients, budgets, all those things.
Bring it on.
Brought it on. Because it's not, there's our creative genius. Is that what we're calling it? And then there's our touch points and our more curated moments. I don't want to say hand-holding, but bringing along the client and through the experience that's where we should be spending more of our time.
I agree.
If AI can take some of the schmegma out, then
I love that.
Great.
I think also one of the things that has been a hot topic recently is incorporating legacy pieces from our homes into design. And I can imagine there'll be a time where AI would be able to do that. But one of the things about legacy pieces is they often hold stories and memories and uses that we don't understand or appreciate, like a china cabinet may be used as a linen cabinet or whatever, and making sure that those things, when we meet with clients and they make a point to tell us the story, that we actually remember that, and then that piece shows up in a super meaningful way.
Yeah.
We're doing that right now with the piece that we're actually going to put in we're doing the grandparents' house, and they're going to have a new grandbaby, and we're putting the legacy piece in the nursery there in their home, and it's going to be used instead of a china cabinet, then as sort of the baby Lala's
Yeah.
cabinet. And we have that presentation this afternoon, and I think the
how fun.
client's going to think that's really neat.
Oh, I'm so excited because when you started saying that about repurposing, my mom had done an old Hoosier. I don't know if it's an old baking cabinet, and from I think it was the 40s. Anyways, and she had redone it for me when I was 22 or 23. It was beautiful, and I loved it, and it went with me everywhere. And then it ultimately became the baby's changing table because it had just enough of this, so everything was in it. It made me so happy. So yeah, I love that you're able to do that. We've got somebody's like grandparents, what is it, a hanging tree,
Hall tree.
And the marble top is dated, so it's currently at Stone Store, and they're gonna cut a really beautiful piece that we've got somewhere else in the house, and just those little moments, and we're having it
going to reappear.
Just going to reappear. Great. But I love you being able to use people's pieces.
Yeah.
Plus, it helps with the sustainability in a huge way.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And that client, just to circle back, that was reluctant to change. One of her big sort of things that she champions is sustainability. And she started to be able to articulate during that meeting that she's having a hard time getting rid of some perfectly good cabinets, some perfectly good this and that. That she, during that meeting, had this moment where she had to take a deep breath and say, is this something that I want to replace just for replacement because of how it's going to affect the environment? And that is something that's very, very important to me and that I think about often. And so we were able to speak the same language and appreciate each other's place during that time.
So then what did you land on? Because now they're being able to, like, they could go in the garage sometimes, or they can, Habitat for Humanity can sometimes pick some stuff up. Although I know unless they have the space, it's not always easy for them because they've got so much. But where did you land on it?
So in the kitchen, we are not going to change the footprint, and we're going to keep the boxes.
Awesome.
We're going to change some of the boxes just a little to accommodate like a microwave drawer, a different size refrigerator. But by and large, we're going to leave the boxes, and she was super happy with that. So we're going to change door and drawer fronts. We are going to change the countertops to something that's a little more agreeable to a lot of family use.
Right.
And because the countertops changing, the backsplash will change. Yeah. And we're just going to touch up cabinets instead of repaint them a different color because she decided that she really did like the color of the cabinet. So, like I said, sort of meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
That by itself would not be a project of ours. That would not be a big enough project, but we're adding sort of a sunroom onto the house, redoing the master bathroom, doing the primary bathroom, refacing the secondary bathroom, sort of giving them a facelift.
Right.
And then redoing some furniture because they have furniture that they've drug with them for 20 years, and they want that final land of furniture.
I love that. Yeah.
And so that's
what becomes a project. Yeah. Because sometimes on those, and I don't know if you've ever done the exploratory for clients, because sometimes they don't know what they don't know. So they're like, I don't know if I want to blow the whole thing out or what. So we do something. So you kind of go in baseline.
Yeah.
And give them, and then even get pricing on kind of baseline. And then they can decide like, oh, actually that is so far further than our budget, or now we can move on. So there's that like moment of like enough design to give them inspiration and ideas.
Yeah.
And you can price it out without you going so far down the rabbit hole. And it's always because sometimes we get in and then we realize, oh God, this isn't best for both of us, right? Because maybe they do pull back. This worked out, but yeah.
Well, they were very clear with what our baseline was, that we take projects that start at this number.
Right.
And they very much understood that and respected that along the way. But you're right. If she became so reluctant to change that so much of the project was pulled back to where we were just doing countertops, tile, and a little paint, you're not going to meet our minimum.
Right.
And then they wouldn't be a client at that point.
And that's tricky back it out after that point.
And it's also important, since you and I both work on flat fee, to make sure that our contract protects us so that the amount of work that we've done up until then, we actually get paid for. And so all of that was covered.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to communication and the humanity of it all, which is something that I don't think AI would be able to handle.
Absolutely.
At least at this point. Who knows what the future is going to hold, right? We didn't know we were going to be walking around with computers in our hand either.
I know. You look at the Jetsons and it's like, I think most of that's already happening.
We're right there. I am dying for the for when you get your nails done in 2 seconds. You know, like that machine where you put your nails in it, just like the Jetson on the Jetsons.
Yes.
Is that going to happen?
I want
for
that.
us?
I hope so. If anybody's listening who does technology, please make these.
We need our nails. I don't have time.
And just let me go through, like, get my hair done, kind of like when you drive through the car wash.
Yes,
and it does all the things.
Too.
And it does it, and then you come out the other end, and they're like, "Okay, go," and you go.
And dermaplaning.
Oh my gosh,
Botox, all the things.
I need somebody just to tell me what I need to do.
Me too. Well, you need Reagan. If you had Reagan, she would tell you what to do.
Oh my God, I will.
She's like, Mom, it's time to microplane. Okay, I got it. Or dermaplane, or I don't even know what it's called.
That's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I do use them for, AI for.
AI. What do I need to do?
What do I need to do for this to keep it from,
Is there anything else that you can think of that AI is just like, you're just like, they're not going to do for the luxury client what we do?
I really feel like it's the relationships for one, which we keep talking about, but it's that touch point. But those moments where we transition in a project or something changes and they are like, actually, you know what? We just got back from a trip and how do we incorporate this? Or you know what? We really do. We're constantly pivoting. I like to call it twirling because it's like, it makes my head more fun, but we're pivoting a lot. And we want to, like, scope creep. People think that's a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's
the best. And it's also, I think, where some of the best surprises happen for us.
So like one project we're doing with the ceiling, but it keeps growing. And I'm trying to picture any contractor, and I'm not like patting myself on the back, but as the designer and then being the general contractor, because I didn't think it was going to be this thing.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful I don't have a contractor that I'm constantly having to, because they would be so
he or
over
she
it.
would have quit.
But I love it because I'm like, because it's truly like this very fluid, organic way to design. And it's not for everybody. And I wouldn't want to do this all the time because it does feel sometimes things are kind of out. But it makes me realize I'm grateful for the flexibility of the trades that we have there and that we are able to do it for them. Right.
I agree.
Now the client gets exactly what they were wanting.
I agree.
Even though they didn't realize, moments.
We didn't even realize it was possible. I think that's the lesson here through it all, is that AI is not going to have the heart, the care, the love, the human care for our clients, our luxury clients, like we do. And so, I think we're okay for the foreseeable future.
I do. It makes me happy, though, because I think it is going to help us in the ways that we don't realize yet. So I'm looking forward to finding those.
To learning those.
Yeah.
But, so if you're an AI expert and you want to come sit down and tell us how it can change our lives.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, please.
We're open.
We would love to hear how we can use it better in our field because, we want to get better.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And not be afraid of change.
No, we're not afraid of change.
Yep.
Sometimes.
I was going to say, sometimes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay,
so.
What's a change you're afraid of? What's something that you're like, hold on, like, what is your attachment?
I don't know that I have one, except for we talk about in order to be a great designer, and especially in the luxury market, we're controlling. Anytime you feel like you're going to lose control, that isn't a fun feeling for me. I don't know if it is for you, but it's like, No,
I don't love that at all.
Yeah.
No. I want to be able to release a little bit of it so that, like, when Carrie is on site and she knows exactly what to do and I don't have to be, because they figured it out and they did the best job and I didn't even need to be there. So that felt good.
Yep.
Because I was like,
We've both been experiencing that, I think, with getting busy, and there's only so much of us to go around. Yeah. And so you do have to trust, but I don't know that I'm ready to trust a computer to do that or AI.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I'm not ready for
Not
that.
ready for that. So yeah.
So if you want to talk to Casey and I, send us ideas of what you'd like to hear us talk about. You can reach out to us at hello@reframingdesign.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Rainey Richardson Interiors.
You can follow me at Cassandra_brand_interiors. And also so the art behind us today, it was from a student at Glisel that just did the most beautiful piece. Her name is Milena Todoric, and it is called Memories of Mortar. So I believe it's a Yugoslavian village that she kind of charcoaled, and it's just the strongness in the face is just her eyes just haunt me. So
I
anyway.
so would have picked up that piece too. I totally get why you purchased that piece.
So
it's
strong
amazing.
and beautiful. I love her. So anyway,
It's
if you've
amazing.
got art that you want to have up behind us, please let us know. We would love to showcase you. We love art in all capacity. So
And follow us on anywhere you get your podcasts. We're on all streaming platforms, and you can also watch us on YouTube and see all the crazy, the florals and the crystal cupcake that your mom has us have on set, which I love, Miss Mona. And we're so happy that you joined us today.
yeah, thank you. I can't wait to see you again. Have a good one.
So what's a win?
Okay, so a win. I know it's either work or God, there are so many. I had like 14 on the way to work today.
I think of a big one.
Big win?
A big win for you.
The trip?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was reminded of this South Park episode where they go, they took our jobs. And they just say that over and over and over again. So we're going to talk about why AI is not going to take our jobs today. In talk, I know that episode.
We're going to have to pull that into B-roll for sure.
I know we're going to have to. So we're going to have to ask Mariana and Holly to pull that. But it is
the BTS, right?
Yeah, and every once in a while, my husband and I actually say that to each other. So when in talking about AI, that's this echo in the back of my mind.
Yes.
This book, I feel like I get to say that with an accent.
Well, you started with South Park, and now you've got to be fancy.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see what you end up
fancy.
with so fancy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tear it all down and redo the whole thing.